started.
G'day people, you're back for another 2 vs 2 in Beyond All Reason. We have AllReasonNoLogic's Tank Tom teaming up with B-Bomb. They are up against Woulda and Pigs. Let's hope for some juicy micro-driven chaos. It's Pradith and myself, Twig, on the mic to enjoy this game as spectating commentators.
Should be a pretty interesting match, this one, because Pigs is known for his early game prowess, but unable to push through into the late game, and Tank Tom also known for his early game aggression and ability, and in the past couple of games we've also seen him unable to push into that later game. Backed up, Tank Tom is backed up by B-Bomb, who is a solid all-rounder, and Woulda, who is also a solid all-rounder. So we shall
jump
see.
in and just point out this start that Pigs has done. A lot of people get caught out on this. Pigs went into 3 mexes before his win went down. If you do go into a 3 mex start, it is best to drop a solar straight after that because you will be bottoming out on energy, and those 3 wins took quite some time to get up. So as a result, Pigs was the least established economy at the start of the game because he's choked himself early. If you do want to go into win straight away, build 2 mexes, then wind, and then build your 3rd mix after that. Sorry to cut you off, Prey. I just wanted to point that out to the viewers.
100% right on that one. There are realistically 2 build orders that start every single game, and the first one is 3 mechs into solar, and the second one is 2 mechs into 2 wind. So choose between those 2 at your own leisure.
I think we saw Tom actually do the 3 mechs into the solar start, and you can see he's already got 2 units already out on the front line. Pigs only getting the 1 constructor out so far.
Looks like we've got a slight difference in the backline with Woulda going bots versus B-Bomb, who has gone into... Woulda in vehicles and B-Bomb in bots. I think the bot start is the right call from the back because it lets you go into ducks, one of the worst units in the game. But they are there. But it also means much cheaper start for your tier 1 constructors.
Even though Duck's one of the better units of the game, not the better, but not the worst. The tanks does allow for those pincers.
When I see it, I will believe it, but until then, I will flatly deny that the Duck is a good unit.
I know I'm going to lose a game or 2 just trying to prove you wrong by going into Ducks.
I'm so excited. I'm baiting you into this so that when I play you, I know you're going Ducks and I can just beat you. Tank Tom, because of that faster start, was able to get his grunts right across the map. Unfortunately, with them being ungrouped up and not going in at the same time, he hasn't been able to capitalize on it. But usually, if both starts had been even, Tank Tom wouldn't be able to be in this aggressive position. You have to keep these units nice and grouped up, but not so grouped up that they aren't able to resist the fire of Pigs' pawns. Grunts versus pawns is always an interesting matchup. The grunt slightly outranges, but the pawn slightly outdamages.
And Tom right now should be aggressing with those longer range. He's already seen he's up against pawns. Just needs to do a fight command, so hitting F and then dragging a line across, right click or left click doesn't really matter.
But now that the maces have arrived, I don't want to see Tom trying to push across. Got to try and keep those back and doing the smart thing with his comm, walking directly across the beach and going for these mexes, get a couple of LLTs up and defend this point.
When you're going for those pincers, like I mentioned, the vehicles can go into the back line. He's going around this long way. I'd actually like to see him go across through here and then just down this edge here and around this way, because you've got more opportunity to do more damage if you can hit this beach rather than this beach over here, because there is going to be defenses set up.
Definitely correct. The outside beach is where we'd want them to go, not the top beach. Drawing on here, it means that you have 2 attack vectors, and both of them should be relatively undefended, considering that the only places that these guys are looking to fight is on the front, where they've grouped up all of their units.
Interestingly, got a pretty even start. B-Bomb going, so even start in between red and yellow. Both players going into a hard bot aggression. So I think we could see overwhelming numbers maybe come to the front line here.
Thing is, though, you actually have to do something with them. I don't mind that they're going for this, but it's sort of slowed right down because the Rocketeers are now coming across.
Yeah. I will take
And
it back. There is Janus hitting the front line, so that will thwart the large number of units pretty soon.
so they've definitely, it's definitely an idea to go this hard at the front, but you have to do something with it. And technically
Yeah.
they're holding this front area and letting the team get a medal advantage. If they control this whole middle island, that's huge. But we're about to see blue coming in from the back line, and we'll see just how much damage that he can get done. There's currently very little in the way of units being produced from the red and yellow team, so they could do a lot.
Tom unfortunately has choked himself, not choked himself, the opposite. He's not spending the metal, and that's because he's taken his commander very quickly out of the base without any build power in there. So you either want to get some constructors assisting the lab, or get that assisted construction turret up before you take the commander up. I don't mind that build order, especially on a map where you've got just a bit of distance between you and the opponent, to use your commander to build that construction turret with the constructor.
Thankfully, being a team game, B-Bomb is just benefiting from the overflow. But if both players do max out on that metal, there will be metal lost, and they definitely do need to work out a way between them to spend much harder. And it does look like they're getting ready to go in. The Rocketeers are just starting to hit the front line now.
Pincers also doing their attack. Always the way you commentating on one side, and you can't split your screen between the two. We might see these get through a couple units, but I just don't see them doing efficient damage. We might get one mechs going down on the radar, but there's going to be too many grunts here, I think.
B-Bomb tried to pull a lot of his units back, but has decided to just try and take on a couple of them. Tank Tom, no defenses for this. He's still trying to get that build turret up. And these pawns trading reasonably inefficiently, but they are going to take it down eventually. Going for the mechs is going for the build power. The build power is certainly the key thing to take down, but doesn't manage it. While that was going on, there was quite a back and forth on the front lines. Tank Tom and B-Bomb tried to push across, but the Janus and the Mace is absolutely holding point, so now it is hugely in favor of Winera and Pig's big armies on the front line. And those tanks, they didn't manage to do much damage, but they stopped the flow of units. And look at the metal. It's full metal for Tank Tom and B-Bomb. They just cannot
I already have it flowing by 1,000 metal at this stage of the game, which really hurts to see. I think it's a theme for Tom lately. Not getting the build power or the energy out and that metal overflowing. Usually it's the opposite in most games with Beyond All Reason. You're just struggling to get enough metal.
Unfortunately for these guys, these pawns are definitely not going to have the punching power to fight on into this. Your best choice is to do exactly what happened there, which is get a unit close to the opponent and have the Janus take it out for you. No dice, though, in this circumstance. Tank Tom has managed to grab the mechs around the outside and is hiding his comm. But right now it's a pretty desperate defense. We're looking at a handful of pawns, a couple of thugs trying to fight in against vehicles pushing and maces backed up by centurions. And the swarm just keeps growing as the blue team understands the position they're in and just keeps pumping all their economy into units. It's all well and good to have map control. It's all well and good to have the metal advantage. But if you can't turn it into something, if you can't fight, then you're in big trouble. Tank Tom trying to get some Dragon's Maws, but the Dragon's Maws will be completely countered by those 3 Shell Shockers. They need something that can really devastate the army, and they need it quickly.
Tom just needs to get energy. He's going into thugs at the same time as building energy, but I'd be putting those construction turrets to purely help out this constructor and getting those wind turbines up.
Thankfully, they are starting to spend their metal. They're no longer capped out, but exactly as you say, when doing your build, you need to try and maximize what you're doing, whether that's building defenses, building units, or building eco. You just need to stop-start all of those things best you can. Good little engagement for the yellow. B-Bomb manages to get a good trade here, but they're pushing into the maces now, so any advantage they got there is now being backed up, but enough thugs to push this fight back. Great hold by the red team. I'm actually surprised at how well this is done. Fight is now turning a little bit more even, but the reclaim is on the yellow team's side, and both Winera and Pigs are out of steam. No more units building, a lot of eco coming up in the background, and this means that Tank Tom and B-Bomb back in the game, and they have a huge reclaim field to bring themselves right back up to maximum metal and see what they can get
What a
done
back and
there.
forth.
Yeah.
Those slugs really proved me wrong. I
Well,
mean, not proved me wrong, but they just
green and
the
blue just
economic side of it wasn't great, but definitely getting them out just pushed everything back. And now it's Wanera that's struggling to spend all his metal overflowing into pigs.
Wanera and pigs, they got to that front line and they just did not push across in time. The only thing that they had to fight at the start was spawns, and now they're up
I
against a huge
am
thug
loving
army.
what B-Bomb's doing right now. He could easily just send this commander up into Pigs'
Oh,
base,
no.
degun the lab, and get back in the water.
No, go into Wanera's base. Get that T2 lab right after it's finished building.
Do they see that it's here? Player view? No.
Even
They
if
do
you
not.
lose the comm, if you degun both labs, you're donating 1250
Here we
metal
go.
for only... you're donating 1250 metal for 4,000. Cheap
I
as
think
anything.
B-Bomb, given his start position, I do prefer Wanera's start position, but B-Bomb has thought maybe there is no economy in that corner, and he's thought, no, there'll definitely be someone starting in the equivalent of Tom's spot, which is Pigs. Here we go. I am loving this.
Get up in there. Absolute destruction. They've seen it. Pigs has seen it. Get those D-guns out. Yes, there goes the lab. Oh, gunship.
Fortunately, the
Get back in the
Centurion got out
water
just in
and go.
time. That was greatly played by B-Bomb.
Well,
Now Pigs essentially reset.
one of the things that B-Bomb doesn't quite realize, if we look at the F2 command, he could have walked down the opposite cliff and back up into the middle. Where he's gone right now, he's trapped himself, and it's going to be a lost comm, and losing a comm for one lab, not quite good enough of a trade. It'll certainly slow these players down and let there be an evening up, but metal-wise, it's a slight advantage for the yellow team.
I wonder if Red knows that there's a T2 lab. No, they don't. So the transition coming out of B-Bomb now, I like that. We're going to match them, but I wouldn't be surprised if we get a push back the other way. Right now, we want to see all these slugs push in.
Again, these players being so passive. After the complete and total destruction of Blue and Green's army, these thugs really could have pushed right on across, but both players keep letting each other build back up.
I like that the Jaguars are the unit of choice here. They're going to be great for these choke points formed in this geography here. All these slugs are going to be quite close together, so the lightning bolts will jump from unit to unit.
Actually, looks like it's turned from Jaguars into Mausers, or are you talking about coming out of the red team?
No, I'm talking about coming out of. I just saw the couple Jaguars that came out at the start for Wanera, so I didn't catch that he had changed the composition there.
Change them over to Mausers. I actually would prefer to see the Jaguars for the time being, because right now you've got a big thug push to fight and not a lot of units to fight them with. And if they get a good engage on these Janus, that is going to be big damage for them. One Janus down, one more to go, and it's defending into the other thugs, so only a couple of shots off from those, and they're pushing on in. See whether they can actually get this defense done, or whether this is going to be a game-ending push. If they'd done it a little bit earlier, I reckon this definitely would have been game-ending.
Pigs up on the front line is not currently building anything in the back line due to the micro that's needed, and I do like what's happening with the red team here. There is enough to win the game.
They just have to push on in. The question is, will they? And I don't think they'll push across the river. I think they'll consolidate their position and try and get this reclaim. Considering they've already got the reclaim bots heading on in, I don't mind this consolidation. The past ones I thought were problematic, though now they know that there's T2 Mausers shooting at them. That first shot just came on in, if they were paying attention. The moment you see that, you know you have to go with that T1. A small force split off into the other side to try and take on and capture the whole of the middle island, make sure there's no surprises waiting for them at their backs.
Oz Pigs are just Control D, those things there. So
make sure they don't get the reclaim. I'd have left the LLTs up just to try and get some damage, but yeah, I would have controlled the rest. Thugs starting to push across, they know that the Mauser is there. But again, there's no more units here than there were a minute and a half ago, but compared to the other side is now bristling with units instead of it just being one or two. So this is definitely a game of deciding to pull in and push out. Bit of a bit of a title game
This
without
isn't like
actually.
sex people. Pulling out is not always the option. It's not the safer option.
Yeah, in all cases, from the initial pawn attack all the way through to the rebuff by Wanira and Pigs, and now the counteroffensive by Tank Tom and B-Bomb, all they had to do was keep pushing, but they keep letting the other team build up that advantage, too scared to go in. And with 6 Mausers, all you have to do is fight commandos a little bit further forward, and there is very little that this composition can actually get away with. All this is going to be now is a medal donation if they keep it there.
I do think, yeah, we've got enough Mausers to really push and hurt this army. I think Tom needs to gravitate away from his favourite T1 unit being the Thug.
You have to reclaim them and turn them into something better.
I wouldn't mind an air transition here. Tom would do some damage right now.
Are you saying there is one, or no, there isn't
No,
one
I'm saying
at the
that
moment?
I'd like one. I'd like Tom to stop building units and go into the air. He is building anti-air though. So maybe the thought's on his mind.
I mean, they did have those gunships earlier on, which were used to take out B-Bomb's comm, so they're probably expecting some sort of air transition. But instead, what they're doing is just getting shelled. Look, so many thugs and pawns coming out from this. You have to back right the way up and try and deal with this ball. You can definitely use the pawns that are coming in to soak those few shots, and then the thugs to back them up, and hopefully then get enough damage in with the Sheldons to beat this ball back. But with no radars and the unit and the Mauser ball being covered by a Umbra, which is a radar jammer, there's very little in the way of hope for these players of pushing this back. They've just gone too heavy into T1 at 16 minutes into the game, and by that point the T2 really has come online for Wanira and Pigs.
Still with that eco advantage, but we've got 45% more army value out of the blue team right now.
Not to mention, I just do not value the army of Tank Tom and B-Bomb. Look at, like, every time they're trying to push on in, they're losing units for nothing. You either have to commit or pull out. As we
Still going T1. The Grunts now definitely not the choice because they're going to fall with one shot from a Mauser.
And the Mauser's actually able to hit a couple of these eco centers. Does look like they'll get a few of the wins, but nothing too crazy. And it does look like Tank Tom and B-Bomb are pushing on in, but their units are in a corridor. And these Mausers, the only reason this army isn't falling is because the Mausers only have a limited firing arc, so they have not turned around to fire. Pawn's actually getting in on them. This retreat
enough to turn around. Mausers are not a unit to retreat with. You got to just try and do as much damage before they go down. Jaguars, luckily, there's a couple Jaguars. It's just a little bit of HP, just the two cleaning up all of those pawns.
Yep, not quite enough to go on through.
I'm building some Wardens, which are not going to do anything against T2 Mausers.
Wardens are outranged by Mausers, so that's not the play in this circumstance. And just feeding more and more units into the grinder. Meanwhile, let's look back and see what is going on with these players. It looks like Turtle's coming out from Wanira, and Pigs is getting his economy and his units back online. Looks like it's going to be a Mauser push backed up by T1 units, and these Turtles are heading on into the route that we thought was a good
They are going to be a good unit to use over there, but with Tom's commander there, I don't believe they have a torpedo.
They do not.
And all Tom needs to do is follow them out of the water and just degun each one as they appear, and they're not going to get any value whatsoever.
More hesitation out of these players as they aren't willing to push overly past these rocks, and a couple of Sheldons coming in, now able to fire into those Mausers. The Mausers should still win that engagement if they actually do engage, but with those pawns jumping on in, this is finally a time where the pawn might actually do some good damage to these. They're all facing the wrong direction, and the pawns are right on front now.
Tom going for T2 on only 600. Sorry, the wrong player was selected. Who did I select? Oh, that was Pigs. Yeah, just enough energy for T2, but you're not going to be building anything more than the Sheldons and the pawns.
Those are the army from Tank Tom and B-Bomb managing to push on through and do good damage to those Mausers. Pigs did try to save them with his T1 units, but unfortunately these Mausers are just being treated as though they're Sheldons or Hounds.
And
And they're
gone the other
constantly on
way
the
again.
retreat. Unfortunately for these units, you have to sit them firing.
Here we go with these turtles.
Turtles heading on in while the front line begins to crumble for the blue and green players. Tank Tom has seen them. He is trying to react to them. They're very, very slow coming up out of this. The comm will catch them slowly. Fiends coming down to try and do some damage and stop some incoming damage. Good healing coming from those turrets. Take them out, but now they're on the high grounds and they're moving rather quickly. They do outspeed a comm when they're on the high ground.
Build power.
Oh, good reclaim from Tank Tom. He's got one. He's going to go for a second one. Question is, will he get it before all of the build turrets are destroyed? A couple are, but not enough for a chain reaction. There goes the chain reaction, but
so
two of them taken down and one fiend there. Should be able to, if they were targeted on, the fiends should be taking it out because they were only move commanded. The turtles get a couple of extra wind. That build power is devastating. That takes Tank Tom out of the fight for at least the next 40 to 50 seconds.
I think some advanced solos are the option, the response here for Tank Tom.
Now we're just having Mausers fighting with Sheldons with some mixed in T1. And the Mausers certainly good on the offense, and with the Sheldons on the retreat, that is exactly what you want for those Mausers.
Both teams struggling to spend all of their metal throughout the game. It's really important in bar as a game in general to keep that metal spent. Any metal that's in the bank that's not on the field is metal that could be making a difference in this game. Woulda with only 500 energy coming in, and he's got 5,000 metal in the bank, really needs to put down some advanced solos or even a fusion at this stage of the game.
Definitely, and there's so much reclaim in the middle as well that both teams could afford to try and overspend and then move into all of that eco.
Oh, I didn't even realize these turtles could go down this. I'm just going to hit F2, F6 if you're on grid keys. Can they walk up this hill? It's not fully purple. It's got like yellow hatches through it. So I'm surprised it's coming up here. I think Tom's commander will be able to bomb this though, degun these. So a split might be beneficial.
And Turtle's back up into Tank Tom's base. Hasn't quite learnt his lesson and left another area of infiltration undefended. Couple of wins going down, but the rest taken out by the comm in good position. But the Mausers are now shelling into the base, or at least onto those Fiends. Couple caught out right there. Fiends actually
7,000. Sorry, 7,000 metal in the middle, just currently being reclaimed by.
That's going to be huge,
but it's all disappearing.
They're full. They're full. Yeah. Oh god, they're full. You've got to. I don't love metal storages, I don't love energy storages, but they do have a time and a place, and this is so the time and the place for a metal storage.
Yeah, the metal excess jumping up quite quickly there. We're over 1,000 straight away for Tank Tom, Woulda and Pigs.
Tank Tom has finally managed to get some of his eco online, but it looks like he doesn't quite lock his twitches into a construction turret field. Again, we've said this a few times, space out your construction turrets. These grids, whilst they're the most dense for getting construction power to your buildings, if you just break these up into segments, they will survive far, far longer under harassment. Fiends pumping on in here. Unfortunately not an efficient trade, but they are going to get into these Mausers. Mausers turning around, the exact wrong thing that they need to do. You need some sort of unit to fight them. Control D on all of them at once. It is nice, but they would have cleaned that up if they hadn't Control D'd, because they weren't spread through the ranks far enough.
Too right.
Yeah, it's a very fine line between when it's worth Control D'ing your Fiends and when it's not.
Pigs bringing T1 army into a T2 fight from the back line. He needs to stop those and just focus on the T2 lab, which is up. So needs more build power. Only the 2 construction turrets in the base, despite all that overflow. We do have a gunship pull, so maybe a commander snipe would be the way to win this. The red team with a we've seen this before with Tank Tom, being up on eco and then going down to simply gunships going down, hopefully hiding that commander shortly.
Unfortunately, no energy, so even if he does try and do it, he's not going to have the energy for it.
And he goes into the gun anti-air, but that is not how to deal with this.
Got to turn invisible, just stop moving, turn invisible. It's the only chance you got. And
Stop
unfortunately,
moving.
that's going to be a comm snipe. And Tank Tom's team not able to take the win on this one. Very, very back and forth for these guys. No one quite able to seize the advantage. Quick look at the statistics heading on in, and we see metal produced was 100k for the red team, 75 for the blue team, and the damage efficiency was much, much higher for the blue team, 133% to 63%. Absolutely crazy difference that those longer range units and those good engagements kept making. Having a quick look in at those graphs, we see one of the big ones we want to look at is the metal excess graph. So we see a big metal excess coming out of Tank Tom and B-Bomb in that early stage of the game. That was the 1,000 metal that we talked about then. But then all of that reclaim coming in from Pigs TV towards the end, though it did fund them into the victory. So big changes on those ones. Having a quick look at the metal production, it was Winera, Tank Tom, and B-Bomb all approximately equal for the energy production, and then for metal production, and then for energy production, similar story. They all bounced around a bit, but relatively even.
Hope you guys all enjoyed that one. If you'd like to partake in one of these games or casts, or even drop a replay, join our Discord. Links down in the description. And also, please remember to like and subscribe if you did enjoy this video. We use your attention as motivation to produce more content, put it that way. Thank you very much for watching.
Thanks everyone, catch you next time.